Welcome to the Ops Experts Club with Aaron, Terryn, and Savannah. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of some of the finer details of multi-million-dollar companies. These ops experts have dealt with operations for scaling companies and well-established businesses with anywhere from small to large teams. If you've ever been deep into the details of a major company, then you know how much it takes, and these conversations are just for you. Welcome to the Ops Experts Club podcast.
Well, ahoy, mateys. Welcome to Thursday, Ops Experts Club. Excited to be here. How are you, Savannah?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing super. Really excited about our guest suite today. She's been on our minds for a while, someone we're very excited to bring on. She's an awesome worker, works with one of the companies we work with. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see her. You had a chance to meet her before?
A couple times face to face. Well, I mean, not face to face, but Zoom face to face. So I'm excited to get to see her again because we've been in separate departments for a little while now.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, without further words from us, let's bring on our guest. Hey, welcome to Ops Experts Club, Kellie.
Hey, guys.
Hello. Thanks for joining us, Kellie. It's been exciting having you here with us finally. Been a while since we first asked, and I'm just so thankful we found a time that works.
Yes, super excited to be here. Thanks for asking me to be on.
Awesome. Well, Kellie, we know who you are and what you do, but why don't you just kick us off with what's your main role and who you're working for?
Sure. So I am a project manager for Manifest You. That is the latest title I've held, but I've worn many hats. Being in a startup company, we didn't have a official name for the company for a long time, so it's just the media company, and you're filling all the different gaps and things. So I'm settled into project manager, Manifest You. That's a media company that serves the brands of Pace Morby and Cody Barton to real estate investors out of Phoenix.
Ooh, that's cool. So what kind of stuff do you guys do for the Pace Morby and real estate investors?
Yeah, so we run everything with their brand, from their social media presence, their operations, affiliate relationships, partnerships that they have. We develop out info products and run some memberships around those.
Nice. That's cool. And as project manager, do you kind of hit all the different departments? Is there ones you're more keen or leaning into?
Great question. So I am more focused in developing out info products, but because of my expertise across the company, there are several products that I do have my hands in: some customer service, product fulfillment, and some marketing and management there.
Nice. So you get to actually build out the products and the courses.
Mm-hmm. The platforms that we use, we're working with Kajabi. We have, on our brain, the operation of everything, keeping things tied together. We're using Keep, formerly Infusionsoft. Terryn, you're our guy behind the scenes that helps keep us running. Thankfully, we're so grateful for you. I know I am. And then we have some other, apps here and there. We just started using Kajabi's community feature in lieu of Facebook groups. And then we still do have a Facebook group for one of our online products, but trying to avoid future Facebook groups around, dealing with the algorithms and things, and just trying to provide a really excellent customer experience.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a question, Savannah?
Not a question. I was just going to point out that because of Kellie being involved in so many facets of the businesses, like from the start, Kellie, like seeing your name come up in Slack, it's kind of like the Terryn effect, where like you see Kellie get pulled into things and you get kind of like a sense of calm, like something's going wrong and you're trying to like get to the bottom of something. And then it's like, okay, we're just gonna ping Kellie and then see. And then it's like, okay, we got Kellie working with us, like whether it's customer service, whether it's course stuff, whether it's like streaming stuff. Like I feel like you're kind of like the behind the scenes guy in the chair that people can count on to get things across the finish line.
Wow, I appreciate hearing that so much. I liken it to being the company's Swiss Army knife, if you will.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you guys are just joined up with Kajabi's new platform with feature community. So What do you think of it? Is it working out for you?
As far as I know, I'm pretty impressed with the feature. I think there's some aspects that could be developed out a little bit further, but the support team behind the scenes at Kajabi, anytime I brought up a question, they're very quick to answer it. And they directed me right to an area where I can actually request new features or things that I see as urgent, not as urgent, or maybe just one of those nice to haves. So I submitted quite a few feature requests, but overall, I think the platform feature is amazing. Again, it takes away that Facebook algorithm that you're always trying to fight. It keeps all your customers in one area. We do use Circle in another aspects of the company. I'm not as involved on that platform, but from what I understand, they're very similar. In fact, Kajabi communities may have extra features that Circle might not. But, there's trade-off either side. So I think it's great so far. We're happy with it.
Was your decision to move to Circle, was that because you guys were using Discord for a while, right?
Yes. The number one thing that you'll run into is chaos within our company. When you work for such a active, inspiring, innovative visionary, you kind of just got to roll with the punches and put things together. And, it may not be the first best solution to whatever you're trying to achieve, but you put it in place and you figure it out as you go. And that's kind of what happened with some of our info products is we had Discord, and that was the way to deliver our content before we developed out the product itself. And then once that had launched, we started to sunset Discord. It was a little crazy. Once you start to get volume in there, there's no way to keep people, organized in their conversations. It was a lot.
It's hard to moderate. Yeah, for sure. I think it was a really cool, smart way to go, though, because there's so many people like in tech that go to Discord for their conversations and everything. So I don't think it was a bad idea. But yeah, like you said, like once you get volume, it is like it's great for small niche communities, but it is like really hard to manage the back and forth.
Yeah, and you have to think of what you can and can't automate. When you're doing volume of sales or, the volume of just customers in general, is it easy for you to manage those people? Any company that has sales is dealing with refunds, disputes, customer grievances. There's all these things that play into it, and Discord just doesn't have the automations. It would be cool to see it in the future. I think the platform itself has a lot of capabilities, but there's also a lot of time involved in that. And that's what a lot of us sit on.
So what was your kind of ascension journey to get to where you are here? Were you always doing this type of work? Is this a new space for you entirely? How'd you get to Manifest You?
Oh, Manifest You, I thought you meant my specific role, which I can share a bit on that. So my background's actually in healthcare. I went to school for athletic training, which is sports medicine. So I worked for a physical therapy company, and that company employed me in a high school covering high school sports. So I was taking patients, and I had high school athletes every day that I was working with. I was working with doctors, administration, physical therapists, parents, of course, the teenagers with all their hormones and craziness, and trying to learn their slang and spit it back at them. It was so fantastic, but it wasn't challenging enough for me. And I wanted more responsibility, and the hours were a little bit tough because, high school sports go on till, Friday nights go till 1 a.m. sometimes is the last time the athletes walk out the door. So, when COVID hit, no high schools, no sports, no athletic trainers. So
Yeah.
I ended up deciding that my let go moment of time to figure out the next thing. So ended up joining Morby's sub 2 mentorship, which was amazing because I knew I wanted to be involved in real estate, and I was really drawn to the creative aspect. One thing I've learned is I love puzzles. Um, when you look at the human body, it's okay, how are all these things working together? Because you have to know what's broken in order to get to the healthy aspect of where you're trying to go. You injure your knee and this thing's off, and you fix that thing, and now you're running free and clear, right? So same thing with real estate is, you have all these problems that you're trying to solve for somebody, and it's all these different levers that you're pulling, and there's this aspect here and this aspect here. And it was really cool to learn from Pace all the different ways that you could solve somebody's problem. and just being super active in the online community, that mentorship there. Had a Facebook group, and I'm apparently really great at beating the algorithm out. So ended up getting a one-on-one with Pate. He was like, I want to hire you. I need you on my team. And so I was one the of the first employees at Manifest You. So I'm coming up on my 3 years here pretty soon, and, just wearing all the different hats in the company and stuff. It's funny because even though my role wasn't always project manager, when you're in a startup, everything's a project, everything. So I kind of naturally took to it. It's the same thing, project management, filling those puzzle gaps and figuring out what's needed where and when and how and all that good stuff. And so being siloed into project manager where I'm not wearing as many hats anymore because now we're starting to move from that startup to more structured operations. I've been able to hone in that skill a little bit more, which has been really cool.
Where you guys have been growing so much and now you're able to be, kind of in your seat. Do you feel like you're able to like take a breath, or do you feel like because of how fast you guys are still growing, even though you have more team helping you, like, does it feel the same as when you first started?
Oh, great question. Things move faster when you have a smaller team because there's less hands involved in things. And then as you're growing, things might take a little bit more time because now you have more things going on. You have more team members that have their hands in the cookie jar with you. And so I would say it's very similar to what it was before, it's just delivered a little bit differently, if you will. Sometimes you gotta wait for certain things to happen and that's out of your control. In a smaller environment, smaller company, less people, less volume of customers. It's more hands-on, more smaller community oriented, if that makes sense. That's not the phrasing I want to use, but I think you kind of get the point.
Yeah, it's fun when you hit that point where you've moved from chaos to structured chaos, because we're still going to
Yeah.
experience that with the entrepreneurs that we end up working with, because that's just how they think. They're visionary people. They want things done. They got new ideas all the time. So you can't really get away from that chaos, but it's like, okay, how do we structure and manage that chaos so that we can work more efficiently? I think you
Yeah.
guys have really reached that point, which is cool.
Yes. And the collab team has been a saving grace for us. That's for sure. You guys, I've been grateful and lucky to work with both of you guys on so many different projects. And Terryn, you and I more recently, you guys have been an invaluable resource to us as a company.
So we are happy to hear that. We like working with you too. And FSU team's been awesome.
I was so excited that we got you to come on because I haven't got to work with you for a while since you've been more in the project manager seat and not in the customer experience seat. So I'm like, oh, I get to see Kellie again.
Yes, you've been missed.
So what's been like a best story you can share with us since you've been working with FSU?
Best story. I would say, just having the opportunity to work in the very beginning stages of a startup until now, I think it's so unique what an opportunity I had to work so closely with Pace for so long, really understand his marketing brain, which has been that whole paradigm shift for me. I looked at the Barbie campaign when it was coming out and I was like, holy crap, whoever did this did an amazing job. Like whatever campaign team this was, they need pizza party for everybody. My brain has changed, working so closely with Pace and then having the opportunity to have my hands in a little bit of everything. Just being able to hone in new skill, develop out the things that I already kind of was good at, but didn't necessarily have the challenges in front of me to hone that in, to work on those skills. I would say that's the biggest story for me, and being able to be a part of the growth from start to where we are now. It's been quite a journey and it's been really fun.
That is cool. Well, best story also comes with biggest hurdle.
So I would say, again, going with the growth of things, more hands in the cookie jar and more, not red tape, but more opinions to get on things, more collaboration you need to have. Everybody has a different vision for what the next best thing is. So I would say my biggest obstacle is just really determining where my vision sits with somebody else's vision when we're collaborating. what's the best direction for us to go? How hard do you push or when do you pull back? Just kind of learning that art right now. But I would say I still now, before, in the future will always look at obstacles as, okay, what's the next biggest project that's going to move the needle forward? What is the next skill that I'm going to build? What's the next thing I'm learning? What's the next challenge? I would say that's always where my focus is going to be, because that's just how I'm going to grow as a person and, personally and professionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And where you guys have such a big following now too, where not that it wasn't big before, but you guys are growing. And then so just kind of thinking about the what's next, like not even just for you guys within, but like what's next, for the customer, because they're sitting there and they're excited and they're ready to start consuming the next thing. So then how did that all come into play? And yeah.
Mhm. The nice thing is, being in Pace's mentorship and having some real estate background even before I joined that, I can look at the products that I'm helping to build and say, okay, what's next? Exactly what you said. What's next in this customer's journey? What's the next thing that they're going to run into? What's the next obstacle? So I've been able to have a little bit of a voice there and saying, like, this is the next thing that we really should look at.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, and you really see that in your core values. I think one of them is, or maybe your vision, I forget what you call it, but create a raving fan. And it's like whenever you're up against a problem, it's like thinking of different solutions. It's like, okay, does this solution create a raving fan or does this solution create a raving fan? And then you just like keep rolling that over into like, okay, how could we make this product better to create a raving fan? Or product could they use next to create a raving fan? You just keep using filters for decisions.
Yep. I think that's a really great way to put it. I don't know if I would have been able to put that into words, because, when you have something that's just innately a part of you, the thing, you don't necessarily think of it, but that's what it would be if I was trying to put that into words, for sure.
Perfect. So you've been doing this. How long have you been with Manifest You?
It'll be coming up on 3 years soon.
That was a good amount. And joining this, you were in completely new world work. So what's one piece of advice Kellie today would give Kellie 3 years ago, just starting out?
Oh, man. Honestly, I feel like I tackled things the same back then as I do today. Just keep looking for the challenges, soak it all in, be fully present in it, like do your due diligence and make sure it's work that you're proud of, and don't be afraid of making the mistakes.
Yes, powerful. We all make mistakes. It's a beautiful thing. Because you learn from it and it's awesome.
Yeah, I think, that's such a important takeaway for anybody that may not really understand why that's such a talked about thing of, don't be afraid to make the mistakes. But, when we go through our school system growing up, at least here in the US, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but like, you got to get the 100, you got to hit all the boxes, right? You got to make sure you're doing X, Y, Z perfectly. Otherwise you're going to fail this and fail that. And, it's culture of fearing the failure. And it's like, that's what you learn from. If you never fail at anything, you never learn anything. So what fun is that?
Yeah.
Yep. And then you just become a know-it-all that hasn't actually failed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A know-it-all that doesn't actually know anything. Kind of a curveball question. How do you feel like your background in healthcare has helped you with like operations, and except not like literal, physical operations, but obviously.
Oh, I love this question. So I've actually been reflecting on this quite a bit in the past few months. Is being in healthcare, you get all walks of life, right? And especially when people are in pain, they want to tell you everything and every little thing, even if it's not what you're asking them. And so I learned to become very pointed in how I communicated, whether that was asking the right question where I got the right information. And, if they had to babble on whatever, at least I got what I needed in the beginning. I didn't have to try and decipher through their hour-long explanation of one question. And then teaching people how to move their bodies when their brain's not connected to a certain muscle or they don't know how they're moving. You have to be able to communicate in a way that they just understand. And I know I watched a lot of my colleagues who didn't have that same communication skill really struggle to get the customer. the patient to do what they needed them to do to achieve the goal that they were working on, right? And so moving into real estate, moving into product management, media management, marketing, customer service, setting up systems and processes, it's all how do we make things concise, clear, and pointed so that people understand exactly what they should be doing. So if you look at it from a customer standpoint, when I'm developing out a product, it's okay, I want the customer journey to be this. How do I make sure that they know all the next steps that they need to go through? If you're doing it in marketing, same idea. Okay, this person watches this video. What am I telling them to do next? And making sure that's very concise, clear. And then when you're looking at systems, operations, processes, things like that, you have to be able to clearly delegate to team members when you need help on something. When you're setting up an SOP, it's got to be a step-by-step clear path. If you don't write something down that's super important, they're not gonna do it, right? Or, say I fall off the face of the earth and somebody's got to take over my job. If I don't account for all the little things that makes the bigger picture happen, then so much stuff is going to fall through the cracks. So I think just learning how to communicate really clearly in the healthcare field just has added to every aspect of my life.
I can totally see that being like a fast track thing in business. Cause I would say that's probably one of the biggest things since I've started working in operations that I've noticed that like I'll annoy people because they'll give me like the task that they want. And then I'll come back like, I have some clarifying questions because otherwise you're thinking that you're understanding what this person is asking for. And you go through and you do 2 hours of work. And then you're like, here is the thing that I made for you that you asked for. And they're like, this is not what I asked for. And it's the same thing where like I end up doing like design stuff. And that is like 100% of the time, the frustration is that like you guys think that you understand what the issue is, but it isn't actually the issue because people do struggle so much with communicating directly what it is that they need help with. And so you have to treat like the core problem and not the symptoms of what the person is experiencing. So I love that. I could totally see how that would like you starting with a business with that background, like why Pace would just be like, yep, you're hired. Like you're just going to come in and you're going to triage this for me because you got it.
And I mean, there's definitely still a learning curve, applying it in each step that I've gone through. So it definitely wasn't something I was like right away banging out, an expert at. It goes into the, making mistakes and learning. But I love that you touched on the root versus a symptom. Because in physical therapy, ergonomics, physiology of the body, you could have XYZ symptoms, but that doesn't mean that's the actual problem that you're having. So many people will look at their muscle and be like, oh my gosh, this hurts. Okay, well, why is it hurting? Is it just hurting because you got a bruise there? Is it hurting because something else around that muscle isn't operating the way that it should be? And you have to look at symptom versus root and really try to solve the problem. Otherwise, we're just treating the pain. And, it's the same in business. If you have a customer complaining about a certain thing, you can solve that customer's problem. But how many other customers are having that problem? You have to find the root of that to be able to truly say that you solved that problem.
Wow, so very true. I loved ending on that because I love looking at roots of things, and you really got to determine solve this the one thing we're actually looking at, because the one thing is a symptom. So what's the actual problem here? Kellie, it's been great talking to you. You have any final words?
Or just go screw some stuff up. That's all. Go screw it up and learn from it. That's all.
Love that.
Those are perfect final words. I think we can all use a little bit of that in our life. Thank you for your permission to screw it up. I'm excited to screw something up later today. Savannah, do your best. Let Travis know too, but it's okay. And thank you for joining us, Kellie. It's been awesome. Savannah, we'll see you all again next week.
Hey, Experts listeners, I want to key you into something that we do very special here at Ops Experts Club, and that's a masterclass. We have a free masterclass called Foundations That Scale. And the great thing about this masterclass is it's for operation professionals who are growing businesses. One of the most dangerous things you can do as an operator is grow businesses on a foundations that's not stable. So in this particular masterclass, we take apart all of the inside pieces of your team, your tech, and how they're using time. And we make sure that you're building on a foundation that's stable. So if you want to check out a great masterclass, completely for free. Go to foundationsthatscale.com. We'll see you there.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ops Experts Club podcast. New episodes available every week on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're curious about how some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship have scaled their businesses to the next level, check out some of our best content on this topic by going to foundationsthatscale.com. You can find the link in our bio and do your part to improve as an ops expert.